everyone. My name is Nguyen Thai Hoang. You can call me Chip. Well, as you can clearly see on this, let's get started. This is the table of contents. You better take a good look at it before you get lost in my presentation because it's kind of long. Okay, first of all, what's the immune system? We've got to know about the immune system first before we say anything about it. Let's get started. So, your immune system. Picture it like an army, producing millions of soldiers, tanks, combat engineers, and even crazy suicide bombers. Their main goal is to protect and defend your body from deadly intruders. Well, here's how they do it. Well, picture this. Picture this. You get cut. It's annoying, right? Well, it's a total havoc in your cut. Because when you get cut, bacteria rushes into the injured place, causing mass damage by killing ordinary cells, stealing resources, and just basically making things worse everywhere. Well, the attack cells would release a chemical alert system in which would alert the immune system. Just when things gonna get worse, your first immune line of defense arrives. This consists of macrophages, where are the tanks of your immune system army. They go in and devour the bacteria full, and also causing mass damage to them. Just for comparison, if a normal cell of yours scales the size of a human, the macrophages would be the size of a black rhino. They eat and eat and eat until they are too full, and then they just sit there and do nothing. So, to continue the job, there's another cell called neutrophils. Neutrophils neutralize the enemy by vomiting deadly chemicals into them. And they are so careless of their jobs, they can damage local cells next to them. They get the crazy suicide bomber because some even press the self-destruct button and release a net-like substance which traps and poisons the bacteria. And finally, your blood veins will release blood into the cut, unleashing a deadly weapon. Complement proteins. This linked to the part 2, but still, okay. Complement proteins trap, stun, and kill bacteria by ripping holes in them. This would violate the Geneva Convention, but our body does not care anything about it. All this would have worked, but in this case, it doesn't, because our first line of defense usually can get overwhelmed. So that's why we have a sequel of the first line of defense, because this can adapt to the nature. Because, first of all, when things are getting out of hand, the second line of defense would arrive, which is, first of all, dendritic cells. Wait, what's dendritic cells? They're like your intelligence officer, that person who tries to get intellect of the enemy. They would go into the battlefield and collect data samples of the enemy, in which would transfer them to the lymph node. Lymph nodes is a place that are like commander base, which your helper T cell, your main commander, would usually reside in. This isn't just one commander. It's many, like trillions, thousands, decimillions, quintillions, anything. But still, there's a lot of them. And they usually reside in the lymph node. The dendritic cells would need to go and search every single lymph node in there to find the correct helper T cell. This usually takes hours, days, weeks, or even months, but we eventually find it. When they found the right helper T cell, things start to get better because helper T cells would clone themselves over and over and over until they reach thousands of helper T cells. They split into two groups. One would go to a battleground and awaken the macrophages. The awakened macrophages would charge into the battleground with more aggression than before. The rest of the group would go back to the lymph node, deeper into the lymph node, and find the helper B cell, which are your main factories for the defense of your body. Fun fact, your helper B cells can produce about 2,000 antibodies per second. Antibodies are like your super weapons. They're like our nukes, but better. The antibodies would cling onto the bacteria and do what the proteins just did, but on a much larger scale. All of this would have done damage to the enemies, and they would be eventually wiped out. And when your immune defense soldiers knew that they are not needed anymore, they obliterate themselves to preserve resources. That is done for part 1. Let's get to the part 2. Proteins. Yeah, they're nice. But what are them? Well, proteins, they are in you because they are the most common building block of any organisms on the planet. They consist of, for scale, many atoms on each bump. They can also fold into 3-dimensional shapes. The folding process, while it looks random, is very intricate and precise. They rely on chemical forces and amino acids to fold and to change their shape. Complementary proteins are very customizable. Take this protein infused with the sample of a virus to create a vaccine. A vaccine, we can create this and put them into our bodies to create a master vaccine. And this, combined with computer nowadays, we could predict the new shape of the virus. So that basically means we know what the future virus looks like. And because of that, we can create the vaccine of the future. But that's not just all. Natures can have a lot of proteins, but all possible proteins are basically endless. According to Dr. David Baker, we can create monstrous amounts of proteins to do lots of stuff. One of his suggestions is using them to deliver chemotherapy to cells, or even therapy to cancer cells. And finally, last but not least, what I would add. The things that I would add to my body if I had the chance to, it's a vein. It sounds lame, but still. When the intruder attacks the body and the first line of defense collapses, the dendritic cells would need to go into the lymph node, which is this. It's shaped kind of like a bean. The dendritic cells would need to go inside and search every single cortex of the lymph node in order to find the correct helper T cell. And again, with a helper B cell. But why does it take too many time? Just take a good look at it. The main reason here is untidiness. Yeah, picture this. This is your room. And the thing you need, the helper T cell, is like that one book that you want to read, but it usually comes poof sometimes. We have to find out every single corner, nook, and cranny of this place to find out the thing that we need to find for. Well, that's where the drive-thru vein comes in. Yeah, the name is drive-thru vein. It looks weird, but that's the only thing I thought of when writing the script. The drive-thru vein is comedically a vein because it would take this. This is a dendritic cell. This is This is a helper T cell. But the dendritic cell will just need to swoop by and pick up the helper T cell, just like what a McDonald's drive-thru looks like. According to research, the average diameter of the average size of a helper T cell is usually 5 micrometers, and 15 for the dendritic cells. But for the lymph node, it's 12 millimeters. Comparing these two wouldn't look too far apart, doesn't it? But from a dendritic cell's perspective, it's 12,000 micrometers to search for. Think of like 12,000 of these rooms to find one people in this many crowd. But the drive-thru vein, on the other hand, it's just 30 micrometers in diameter, and it would stretch for like maybe a few meters, decimeters, centimeters, millimeters. I wouldn't know, but it's for yours to find out. Because of the diameter of the 30 helper T cell, we could cram as much as helper T cells as we want. But I recommend of cramming them at the wall. So the dendritic cells just need to swoop by and pick up the right helper T cell. And then, that's it. Thank you for listening. I hope I have a good grade. I don't know. Thank you and goodbye.
Yeah, xin được cảm ơn Chip rất nhiều.